welcome back to My Tech Wardrobe. My name is Caitlin, and last weekend I went on quite the adventure. And when I say quite the adventure, I mean I left my house. I had the wonderful pleasure of spending a weekend in Toronto with my best friend, and we have not gotten to catch up since well before Christmas, and I have not been to the big city for 3 years now? We're gonna talk about the shoe museum. We're gonna talk about really great Italian food. We're gonna talk about trying to shop in a snowstorm. The vlog has it all. So taking the GO train is a unique experience for me because I don't do it very often, and basically it just takes you from a more suburban part of Ontario into Toronto, and I actually spent a lot of time reading on the train and it was more peaceful than I thought. I get a little bit stressed on public transportation whenever I use it because I often think I'm just gonna get lost, so reading actually helped a lot. So if you suffer from a wee bit of travel anxiety, then I definitely recommend bring a calming book. The city is very interesting to me because I am just not a big city type of person. Big cities tend to stress me out, and I'm much more of a suburban lifestyle kind of gal, but this was Caitlin's big weekend out in the big city, and you know what? I actually really enjoyed it. Toronto is a very diverse, massive city, and there's so much to explore, but this time we really focused on going to places that are a little bit less common to visit when you're there. We started with the Bata Shoe Museum, which I can't say enough good things about. We had an allotment for tickets, so basically that meant you purchase tickets according to a window of time because they still had capacity limits and restrictions. So we had an hour of time to explore all 5 floors of the museum. And the museum is sort of in the heart of downtown Toronto. It's next to the University of Toronto Stadium, which we also got to see, which was pretty cool. And I know what you're thinking, I didn't know a shoe museum existed. Well, you know what? Neither did I until very recently, but it has been around since the 90s, and it is a very interesting collection because the museum actually holds a massive collection of shoes and footwear from a variety of time periods. The best part is that we actually got to try on a few different pairs of shoes before you actually go into the museum exhibits. Now, I kind of think that this circle of shoes is mostly for kids, but you know what? They didn't know I was coming, so I tried them all on. I think my favorite were the platforms with a literal aquarium in the heel. I don't think it gets any better than that, to be honest. I want a pair for myself. When you go in, you essentially, in their standing and semi-permanent collection, you get to see essentially the history of footwear across the world. Everything from the very first types of footwear that have been discovered on bog bodies in the Alps, all the way to very interesting Rococo designs, platform shoes from Asia, religious types of shoes and garments, 20th century heels that have been worn by Marilyn Monroe. There's just this huge cornucopia of footwear. Basically, if you took a little peek into my mind, this is what heaven looks like to me. A giant building full of shoes and learning. There were also a few exhibits that were rotating. So one of them included circumpolar footwear and garments that were really interesting because they focused on areas like Greenland and Alaska and northern Canada and even parts of northern Siberia. So that was really interesting to see because I don't know a lot about Arctic clothing. And the exhibit on dolls was particularly memorable because yes, it had Barbie and G.I. Joe, as you would expect, but it also had a Bratz doll. I don't know about you, but I remember the smell. I remember what Bratz dolls smelled like. And that just brought back a wave of memories for me in that moment. So, I mean, it's a little disconcerting to see a doll from your childhood in a museum about the history of dolls. So that was a little bit, I mean, it's a good way to recognize your age. But overall, I just thought the museum's collections were obviously vast, beautiful, and interesting, but the way that the collections were curated was also very thoughtful. There was an entire room and exhibit all about how heels were gendered and sometimes not. It was all about the politics of privilege. And I think it's really interesting to look at those types of social and cultural historical issues through the lens and medium of one particular piece, which in this case was footwear. So I think you can read a lot into the footwear that people chose over time. You're invited to think about the shoes that are on your feet in the moment and understand who made them, where did they come from, what do you hope to achieve by wearing them? It's just a very interesting concept that I think brings the entire curation of the exhibit full circle and really makes you think twice about what you purchase. On our way to lunch in Yorkville, we also passed by the ROM, which happens to be, I think, potentially one of my favorite places in Toronto. Now, I understand that it's a bit cliche to go to the Royal Ontario Museum and go check out some dinosaurs, but it's just my favorite place. We didn't have time to go in this trip, but I'm going back to Toronto sometime this summer, and that is definitely on the list. I love this thing. Lunch consisted of the best spaghetti and meatballs I've ever had, and we did end up pretending like it was summertime and ordered some sangria and an Aperol Spritz. I have to say, I thought I was someone who liked Aperol Spritz, but it turns out I don't. It's the drink that looks like the highlighter, and it kind of tasted like one too. I thought it would be fruity and fresh, but you know what? It's just not. But we had house-made focaccia as an appetizer, so that kind of made up for it. We also had great intentions to go vintage shopping after lunch for the rest of the afternoon, and we were pretty much so tired by that point in the day, and it was snowing so much that we kind of just cafe hopped and got a few treats and ate some Parisian pastry. And you know what? That was pretty good too. We shopped around Anthropologie for a bit, and we also went to Frank and Oak, which is a Canadian sustainable clothing company. It's a B Corp, founded in Montreal, and I got a couple of pieces there that I will show you in a minute. But the next morning it was time to have breakfast, which of course included more pastries, and head back home. But not before enjoying some more pastry, because you can't just leave with one thing from a French cafe. You kind of have to get everything. I got a cronut, I got macaron, I got eclairs, you name it, I got it. And you know what? The Romeo eclair, this was like a hazelnut praline and chocolate. That was my favorite. So good. So I thought I'd have a bigger clothing haul to show you because we were gonna go to all these vintage stores. But you know what? Sometimes you just get lazy and tired, and here we are. But I do have a couple of things to show you. First is this cardigan that I have, surprise, been wearing the whole time. So this is what I thought was kind of like a cashmere, but it's actually a recycled, I think, nylon and polyester cardigan, but you wouldn't know it because it is so freaking soft. I have been looking for a cardigan of this style, kind of a boxy one, for ages, and I wouldn't normally go for brown, but this was part of a larger set, so it came with a pair of flared lounge pants, and a top. And I didn't get either of those because I didn't really need any more loungewear, but because this is technically loungewear, it is super comfy. And I would pair it with something like these, so a pair of bootcut jeans and some nice sort of gold jewelry, but I could also wear it open, maybe with a tank top. I could even wear this on a bit of a cooler spring evening and style it that way, I think. So this is just one of those ones that I wanted to have as a wardrobe staple, and it was a little bit pricey, even on sale, but I think it was worth it. And this is the second top. It's an almost Kelly green. I thought it would be really nice with high-waisted jeans. It's got a bit of a peplum style and it's very floral. And it's just really sort of feminine and pretty. I wouldn't normally go for anything like this because I don't tend to go for very flowy things just because they tend to overwhelm me, but this was in a size, they carry size extra, extra small for some reason, but for me, because I'm so petite, that's actually a size that suits me there. So I got it and I'm really liking it. I already that night when we bought it, wore it out for drinks. So it's already got some use. And I think I could style this with skirts as well because it's very comfortable. And I could even go into the spring because it's very floral and actually very light. So maybe I could even tuck it in. I don't know. Does this work? Or does that just look weird? I would wear this with a cropped jacket as well. I kind of, when I bought it, I was thinking of this one. I just thought the colors of it would be quite nice together. Probably not with these pants, but I think you get the vibe of what I'm going for. Do you get what I'm going for? Anyway, that's it. This was a very quick video, but I wanted to capture some fun parts of the weekend and would highly recommend that you check out the Bata Shoe Museum. This is, again, not sponsored, but if you're looking for somewhere fashion related to go to when you head into Toronto, that is an excellent place to check out. Tickets are a decent price, and I think there are some free admission days as well. So if you want to plan your day around that, it's an option. Thank you so much for watching. If you got this far, why not subscribe? And if you didn't like it, why not subscribe anyway? Because it will be different next time. Bye. Flowy top, flowy top. This is a flowy top. Oh, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Great!